Hey everybody, it's Jade. Thanks so much for swinging on through. Appreciate it, whether you're watching now, later, whenever, and again, hopefully not never. But yeah, thanks for stopping by, everybody. I'm going to be doing an astrology chart reading on the game one of the NBA Western Conference Finals. There we go, got it out. Oklahoma City Thunder, OKC, versus the Minnesota Timberwolves. And again, it's game one. It's in Oklahoma City, in OKC. So I'm going to be doing a chart reading and a prediction on that. And then, before that, basically, I'm going to do a previous game, a recap of my last prediction in the last stream, which was game 5, Timberwolves and Golden State Warriors. So, appreciate everybody for stopping through. Summer home, hello. Good to see you. Wave, fish wave, hockey. Or how does it go? Like this. That's almost like the seal clap, the skull clap. All right, watching hockey there. Thanks for stopping through. William, hi, good to see you. Hope all is well with you. Thanks for stopping by. But yeah, so for tonight, very exciting, as just an NBA fan, but, as a Minnesota Timberwolves fan, I am super excited that the Timberwolves are going to keep on going. They're still howling. So very excited about that. But when I do the chart reading, I do have to stay, neutral. I have to stay objective. So I can't let the Timberwolves fandom get in the way when I do the astrology chart. But, so I kind of have to say that every time. I mean, I don't have to, but I pretty much do. Just a little reminder there. I am going to go through just some of my notes and a couple of just, things of note for the last stream and the last prediction, which again was I think it was game 5. Yeah, game 5, Wolves and Warriors. The Timberwolves were hosting the Warriors in Minneapolis. And so my previous prediction, I'll just put that up here quickly. And then I'll just go through that really, really briefly, as brief as I can be. Archangel Music, howdy back. Thanks for stopping through. Good to see you again. Yeah, go Wolves. I'm very excited. Yes, very excited. They're howling away. Man, it would just be, they got a ways to go. So I don't want to get the cart before the horse, but I mean, it's still exciting that they are where they are right now, and they're playing really well. Hanging in there. Good to hear that. Yeah, doing the best you can, but yeah, hanging in there. Yep, I hear that. I like the Wolf. Very good. Not used to seeing Jade except during football season. I know, yeah, I'm doing a little bit more basketball stuff. I do generally kind of do a little bit here and there, but I think I've done the most this year of non-football stuff, basically, or non-Viking stuff, really. But yeah, I love basketball. I mean, the Timberwolves and the Vikings have always been my top Minnesota teams. Obviously, I'm I'm a fan of the Wild, and, I got my twin sweatshirt on right now, but I follow the Timberwolves and the Vikings far more closely. And when I was younger, the Timberwolves took the cake. They were top dog. So anyway, but yeah, good. Fingers crossed that it goes well. Moon's going to be in Pisces. It's going to be conjunct the North Node, which is destiny. It's going to be near Saturn. So, if you put in the work, did what you were supposed to do, crossed your T's, dotted your I's, hopefully it'll go well. Gonna get a little bit of a square from Jupiter. That might be surprising. And then you're gonna get a support from Mercury and Uranus. But yeah, here's to it going well. So, and I don't know, I'm just doing kind of general stuff there, but yeah. And, Venus and Mars are going to be in harmony, too. They're trine, which is really, really good. Venus is like money. Mars is ambition, drive, energy. So, fingers crossed. Hopefully, yeah. Hey, Vernon, how are you? Thanks for stopping by. Good to see you. Hope all is well. All right. So, yeah, last game, people. And thanks again, everybody, for swinging by. Yeah. Okay, so here we go. And I wanted to start out with this too. I want to wish my grandma, this would have been her 91st birthday today. My grandma Marlis, she is going to have a great heavenly birthday. Miss her a lot. She used to watch the channel all the time. So she would have been 91 today. So happy birthday to her. Thinking about her a lot. I wanted to start out with that, but I just get to yakking. Anyway, so yeah. I love the Tauruses, but we are going into Gemini season here if we're not already in it. So shout out to all the Geminis out there now too. It's going to be your season, so enjoy. All right, so previous game. I had the Timberwolves winning by 2 to 3 points in the last game. Again, game 5, Wolves, Golden State Warriors. And then the final score ended up being Minnesota 121, Golden State 110. So the Wolves obviously won by more than 2 to 3 points, but they still got the victory. They won by 11. And then with that, they ended up winning the series 4-1. And, it just kind of like really lined up, especially the last couple of games, because there was a full moon during that time. I did kind of mention that throughout the last series for the Timberwolves. And, full moons are all about completions, closures, endings, only to bring then new beginnings. So, yeah, very exciting there. And let's see. I did make mention of in the last game that the rulership for each team, the planetary rulers for each team, would have switched had the game started after 9 p.m. And I had the Golden State Warriors. I think I had them either winning or having a better chance, but it didn't matter because the game started before 9, so that didn't matter. And then I had made mention that since the moon was in Sagittarius, opposing Jupiter, I had the fans possibly just being ready to party and celebrate with the moon in Sagittarius. Sagittarius is a fun-loving, adventurous sign, fire sign. The moon rules the people. Opposite Jupiter. Jupiter, will bring big things and can bring big blessings and good luck. So, yeah. And, that with the Timberwolves closing out the series and winning and moving on to the next round, the fans, obviously the hometown fans, were excited. And I heard after the game too that like they were especially in like an extra party mood, excuse me. So I feel like that just kind of lined up too, which it's always kind of right there with the astrology. I had that the Warriors wouldn't go down swinging, but that's kind of like an obvious thing. That's all the notes I took, but if you want to go check out my last stream with more details that I had, by all means, feel free. Go check that out. But the last series, I did the same as the Timberwolves with my predictions. I went 4-1, so pretty good. Previous series with Timberwolves Lakers, I also went 4-1, so which is the same as the Timberwolves, which is really funny. So anywho, but yeah, I'm gonna pull up the chart for tonight and go from there. I was seriously going to ask that, but I knew that the due date hadn't come yet. I think, wasn't it like 22nd or something? I guess it's coming up. It's the 20th. Wasn't it like the 22nd? Or was it June 22nd or something like that? This past Saturday, oh my gosh, congratulations. Yeah, hope all is well with the mom, baby, family. That's very exciting. A little Taurus. Very nice. And yesterday, the 19th, was Kevin Garnett's birthday. Speaking of Timberwolves, so I can't remember. I think he turned 40, later 40s yesterday. But so cheers to all of that. Very good. They are. Yeah, they're doing really well right now. They're on a little bit of a streak. They're jiving. They're vibing. It's going good. So it's definitely really fun to be a Timberwolves fan right now. And it's like, we've been waiting for a little while too. All right. So I'm going to get the chart ready for tonight. And here's the thing too, I say every single time. May 23rd. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. All right. So very close, but a little early. Yeah. Very good. Yeah. Hope all is well. That's very exciting. Congratulations. KG 49. Okay. Yeah. Very good. Very good. And, well, we could talk about that later, but, Kevin Garnett, hopefully the Wolves keep winning. He can come back to Target Center, make an appearance, come back. There's, a little hot water there with KG and Glenn Taylor, but Glenn Taylor is not the owner of the Timberwolves anymore now. But, still kind of is. hasn't passed the torch officially, but pretty much has. So anyway, so that would be another layer of complete excitement if Kevin Garnett would come back to Minneapolis and the Target Center. So, all right, with the start time, it's very, very crucial. All right, and tonight's game too. Let me pull the chart up here, and then I'll just talk about it and go through it. Let's see. And I am freezing, people. It's like only 30 some degrees here, and it's so windy and rainy. I'm freezing. I'm like, it's almost freaking June, okay? And I'm still freezing. I'm still using my electric blanket. Like, what the hell? Okay, I'm always cold. All right, so I'm gonna shrink this a little bit here. Alrighty. I think that's pretty good. Okay, so chart for tonight. And tip-off time is slated for 7:30. And they're playing in Oklahoma City. OKC. All right, a little bit of a tongue twister, obviously. Said that earlier. OKC. OKC, where you want to be tonight if you're a Timberwolves fan or a Thunder fan. And that's kind of cool, too. The Wolves howling. You know, dogs kind of can howl at Thunder. So that's interesting there. All right. So tip-off time 7:30, but the thing is this chart changes. There's like a couple of big changes in the chart if this game starts at 7:35 or after. And it sounds like, so it's like, okay, is it actually going to start on time, or is it going to, the timing, and I'll show you here just briefly the little changes, but basically the big thing that changes here. So this is 7:30, and if you'll watch right over here, watch like Saturn and Neptune and Venus, and then watch right up here if you want. But so the fifth house, which is one of the main houses that I look at when I do the predictions, which is the house of games and sports recreation, the ruler will change if this game starts after 7:35. Because if you'll watch down here, and then a couple of planets will move out of house number 5 too. So 7:30 and 31, 32, 33, things are moving. 34, 35. Okay, and things have shifted now. Saturn, and even if this game starts at like 7:36 too, like, or after, things really shift and shift positively for the Timberwolves and a little bit more negative for the Thunder. And also the fifth house ruler completely changes because that it changes signs. So I can do 2 readings, or I can just probably guess that this game is going to start 7:35 or 7:36, I guess, rather, at this point. 7:36 or after at this point. All right. Hey, Soda, good to see you. Cheers. Back to the West Finals. So excited. Oh my gosh, so exciting. And yeah, as a Timberwolves fan, I'm just like, takes me back to like 2003, 2004. And that's when I was like at the height of my Timberwolves like fandom, like true, like, wow, you know, oh man. So 20 some years later. But yeah, it's very exciting. Good to see you. Only thing I like about the Thunder is the Thunder girls. Oh, is that their cheerleaders? I would assume so. Yeah. They're out there working hard for not very much money, I tell you what. Hi, Eric. Good to see you in New Mexico. The Purple family. Skull Wolves. Yeah, we can do the Skull Wolves. And both of the JJs were at, was it the last game? JJ McCarthy, John, and JJ Jefferson were sitting courtside together. I think it was the last game. I think it was. Game 5. Anyway, so they're just pushing that. Besties already. Okay, so I feel like this game, is this game going to start 6 minutes late or not, people? I think they have a countdown going on ESPN because it really changes some things here. So, okay, NBA countdown. I think they have a little ticker here. Let me check. Of course, they're on freaking commercial. Okay, they're on commercial. We gotta wait. Whatever. Okay, they're giving me a countdown of 3 minutes. I think that's when the commercials are gonna be done. Man, people, is this game gonna start 5 minutes late? At least it probably will, right? Right? Mm. Clean music lover, hello, hello. I think the Knicks will win game 1 tomorrow. Ooh, I haven't looked at any of that. I haven't done any of the East Coast stuff. That's exciting. I will take your word for it. Are they playing? Is it Indiana? Right, the Pacers. See, that's how I'm like, who's left? I did watch. I did watch the last game between OKC and the Nuggets, and then I stopped watching because it ended up being like a blowout. But I have caught a little bit of the Knicks too, which is fun because Karl Anthony Towns, former Timberwolf, and man, it would be so fun as a Timberwolves fan and just NBA fan. I mean, whatever. But as a Timberwolves fan, oh my gosh, it would be so fun to see the Wolves and the Knicks in the final. That'd be so exciting. Yeah. All right. So tip off time. Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. All right, so I'm gonna go with 736 because that's when the fifth house rulership changes. Saturn moves over. All right, so I'm gonna go with that. So thank you. Appreciate everybody's input. Yes, appreciate that. Did you hear about he who shall not be named coming to Minnesota? Yes. Oh my God, I still think that that's a possibility. He hasn't signed anywhere. But they're really trying to push the McCarthy narrative, like especially with him and Justin Jefferson sitting courtside the last game. Like they were put there, like, okay. I mean, I'm sure they get along and everything, but they were put there. Okay. Like you guys, we got to show a good front here. All right. We got to keep pushing. That's all John here. All right. So yeah, let's go with the chart for right here. Collectively, I'm going to go with that. Thanks, everybody, for your help, input. All right. So going with tip-off time, 7:36 or after, but we'll just go with 7:36 because we got to just do our best here because timing is so important, especially when things shift and planets move out of houses and the rulership of the house changes. I mean, yeah, it's a big thing. So anyway, yeah, but back to this really briefly before I get into the chart here now. That I don't want to happen. Okay. I don't want that to happen. Okay. All right. We'll go with good night, John McCarthy. All right. No, I'd rather not. I'd rather not. Plus, I don't really think he has much left, to be quite honest. All right. So, I'm going to start with OKC because they're the home team tonight. And then I'll do the Timberwolves next. I'm going to look at the moon. I might have to go get some more water. Seriously, my mouth is so freaking dry. I feel like I just keep sipping my water down and there's barely any left. Cheers, everybody. In my copper cup. I was about to say mug, but it's not a mug. In my copper cup, which I love. Okay. Alrighty. Okay. So let's just look at the moon really quick because I always look at the moon. She's a co-ruler of every chart. The moon at the start of this game, she's at 6 degrees of Pisces. She rules the people. Pisces is a very dreamy sign. It's a very imaginative sign. It knows no bounds. It's, there's illusion there. There can be deception there. There can be some glamour there, kind of like mermaid qualities, the duality too with the two fish. So I imagine that the fans, the people there, yeah, like dream come true here, type of vibes. Very just fun loving, excited to be there, ruled by Jupiter. Obviously, it'll probably, no surprise to anybody, it's probably going to be a packed house. The ruler of Pisces is Jupiter. Jupiter's in Gemini. Gemini's communication, two sides, so, and chatty. So I think, the fans, I think, are going to be rambunctious and loud. Not to mention the moon is in the Thunder's 10th house of their career, their public image. So the fans are going to be there. They're going to show out. I expect them just to be like I mean, obviously it's exciting, but I expect them just to be like all about it, like big and a big part of the game too, taking up a lot of space there. Anyway, and so that's what the moon is doing tonight. And for Oklahoma City, their ruler is Taurus, and Taurus is ruled by Venus. So Venus is the planet that rules the thunder tonight, and Venus is at 14 degrees of Aries. Aries is a fire sign. Venus is what we love, what we find to be beautiful, money. Venus is a benefic planet. She's known to be rather nice, femininity, women, but in a fire sign, being feisty tonight. So I do think that, like the Thunder are just like the twinkle, the sparkle in their fans' eyes right now. Like they are just all about it. Like there's a twinkle there, there's excitement, there's a spark there. I mean, yeah, which again, it's obvious, but the astrology is right there. And then for the Timberwolves, they're going to be ruled by Scorpio tonight. And Scorpio is traditionally ruled by Mars. So I'm going to focus on Mars as the main ruler for the Timberwolves. But then the co-ruler is Pluto, because Pluto's the modern day ruler of Scorpio, and Mars is traditional. So Mars, the Timberwolves find themselves at 15 degrees of Leo. The Mars, which is energy, rage, ambition, your drive. There's anger there. In Leo, which can be very flashy, kind of a little bit dramatic. So maybe a little bit of that from the Timberwolves tonight. Mars is quite close to Anthony Edwards' sun sign, because Anthony Edwards is a Leo sun. So his sun sign is around where Mars is right now. And I think that's been good for Anthony Edwards so far. He's really stepped it up, proved that, he's in the right place. He is a true leader. He has what it takes, to lead a team thus far. So it's all, playing out rather well. So, and there's been some hiccups for Anthony Edwards too, like turning the ball over. He didn't score until like the second half of, I think it was the series versus the Lakers, but overall it's been pretty good. So for each team, I found the rulers, and now I'm going to look at each team's fifth house of game, again, recreation, sports, and I'm going to look at their 10th house of, again, their career and their public image. So back to the Thunder. Again, their first house, which is themselves, lands in the sign of Taurus. There's also Mercury right there. Uranus is there, and the sun is there. Very, very powerful stuff. A lot of planets right there, basically kind of co-rulers of the Warriors tonight. Or the Warriors, the Thunder. Okay, like we moved on from the Warriors. That was last series. And the fifth house ruler for Oklahoma City is going to be Venus as well, which is the ruler of them, because it lands right in the beginning of Libra, right in the beginning there. So Libra is ruled by Venus. So Venus and the moon, they're not doing anything with one another. Again, the moon is the co-ruler of the chart. Venus, again, the Thunder, they're over here. Those two are not doing anything with one another. Venus that rules, Mercury is not doing anything with Venus. Again, Mercury is right on the Thunder's ascendant right there. So it's kind of the co-ruler for them. Mercury and Venus are not doing anything with one another. And then one good thing, though, that I do like for the Thunder, which is the moon, the next line of communication that the moon is going to make is going to be a good communication with Mercury. They're going to be sextile, which is about when planets are 60 degrees apart. And I like that for the Thunder. Again, the moon ruling the people. The people are really, the fans really going to be like that extra support, which again isn't surprising for the Thunder tonight. And, for OKC to have Mercury, which is our communication planet, right, on their ascendant, They could be more talkative on the floor tonight, just overall in general. Might be hearing from, some of the players a little bit more. Might be a little bit more, maybe a little bit more trash talking. I mean, I don't expect it to be like trash talking, maybe more of like celebration and two between one another, just because Mercury's in Taurus, and Taurus isn't necessarily like a mean sign. But I will say that if some of the players for like the Thunder, if they get poked at and jabbed at enough, like the nostrils will flare out and the steam will come out. Like the bull will then come out with their communication. So possible something there. And then Uranus, which is erratic, kind of unstable energy, is also hanging out there. And Uranus is the co-ruler of the Thunder's 10th house of their career. So I think they're going to be zoned in tonight because Uranus is right there. And again, their 10th house lands actually in Aquarius. I haven't mentioned that yet, but we'll jump on over there because we're talking about it. So there's some support, like honestly, a lot of support from the fans. Like the fans might be like the extra oomph that the Thunder use or need to potentially get the victory tonight, because the sun is very, very powerful. That's who we are at our core. It's our effervescence, right? We get from the sun. The sun finds itself at 0 degrees of Gemini. Again, happy Gemini season to all the Geminis out there. But we all have Gemini somewhere in our chart. So the sun rules OKC's 4th house of their home, their arena, because Leo rules their 4th house. So the fans are really there. Like they, packed house, going to be supportive of this team. Like, I mean, point blank. So the one thing that I also like for the Thunder is that Venus, which is them, is at 14 degrees of Aries. And Venus, i.e. OKC, they are right in the Timberwolves' fifth house of games. Like they are there to play. They're there. And also Venus is making a trine, which is the best, most positive communication that two planets can have with one another. Things come easily then when there's a trine, this thick blue line between Venus, OKC, and the Timberwolves. And Venus is going after Mars. Like, OKC, we're coming after you, Wolves. We are coming after you, and we are looking to dominate you. So I do like that for OKC. And in their 10th house, which lands in the sign of Aquarius. And again, the 10th house is how they show out on a public level, your public reputation, and again, your career. The moon is there, which is the co-ruler of the chart, rules the people. And then Aquarius is traditionally ruled by Saturn. Saturn does bring blockages. It can slow things down. But a thing I was actually reading about Saturn today is that I didn't just read this today, that it is the karmic teacher. But what I was reading today is that, if you, according to, I was reading it, I wish I could credit the person. I don't remember who it was, but I think it was just like a blanket statement from like a bunch of like studies. But basically, like for Saturn, if you sneak around and you kind of cheat and lie and kind of, steal your way to what you want, to your prize, and you don't get caught, like Saturn's all right with that. Saturn will reward that. So that will be interesting to see how that, little new piece of information and like kind of new way to think about Saturn plays out. For OKC, it might, Chris Finch was, he said this last week that they foul a lot. Are they going to get away with some of that? Are they going to get away with being a little bit more chatty, maybe a little bit more trash talking, kind of poking, a little bit like that, potentially? And on a negative note for OKC, with Saturn being in their 10th house of their career, Saturn again can slow things down. It can close a door in your face when you were like on your merry little way, because that's not the way that Saturn wants you to go. You got to go back and put some work in. or, do some karmic things, or, learn something. Saturn, again, is the great teacher, the taskmaster. So that could play out, in a way of, if the Timberwolves take the lead, end up doing well, quieting the crowd down, taking all their big support away, that being OKC. So anyway, I'm going to move over to the Timberwolves now. Let me see what's going on in the chat. How did the Mavericks land the number 1 draft pick? Talk about lucky, right? Yeah. Right. Yeah, that too. Yep. And I don't know. Like, it's just interesting too, because I kind of believe anything is possible. But I like looking to see how the astrology plays out with all of it. And like, things could be set up in a certain way if whoever they are working with astrologers and numerologists and things like that. And who's to say that it's not everything is already mapped out and rigged, so to speak. I mean, we don't have to go down that, that path right now. But yeah, anyway. So on to the Timberwolves. Again, they're ruled by Mars and Pluto tonight, because Scorpio is their ruler. So Mars, again, at 15 degrees of Leo, that being the main planet for the Timberwolves tonight. So, too, I could see Ant just really kind of shining here, which again is no surprise, because Anthony Edwards, again, is a sun in Leo. Mars is right near Anthony Edwards' sun sign. I could see that playing out well for him. Or, since Venus, which is OKC, Venus is applying to a trine to Mars. OKC could say, not so fast, Anthony Edwards. You think you're the darling? No, we are. We are. I do declare. They have a little bit of accents in Oklahoma, don't they? Yeah, Oklahoma. All right, anyway. And then for the Wolves, their 5th house of their game is also ruled by Mars, but they got a couple other planets in there, because their 5th house lands in Aries, and Aries is ruled by Mars. So the 2 rulers, Mars and Pluto, for the Wolves, they're not doing anything with one another. That opposition between them that was happening is over. But Pluto is retrograde at 3 degrees of Aquarius. So Pluto is moving in a direction that Pluto doesn't normally move in, which is usually a time for like rethinking and reevaluating things when Pluto, or with any planet retrogrades rather. Pluto is about transformation, it kind of can destroy anything it goes towards, but it's usually because it's not working, and there needs to be like a new beginning and a fresh start. But it can be challenging, but transformative with Pluto. And the moon at 6 degrees of Pisces is not doing anything with Pluto or with Mars. So the moon isn't really supporting the Timberwolves. The only thing that there is some support is that the moon is working towards a trine, which again is good, to the ascendant, which is the Timberwolves themselves. So, and it's a wide trine. So there is that. But for the Timberwolves, they do have to deal with Venus being in their 5th house, and Venus again is OKC. So with Venus, OKC working towards kind of taking over Mars, I kind of see that as OKC kind of taking over, this game in a sense, and really kind of like overcoming the Timberwolves. Now, on the flip side, it could play out the other way. It could play out that way for the Timberwolves. But since Venus is the ruler of OKC, and OKC is in the Timberwolves' 5th house, like they are there. Like they're there. And they're ready to take you down. That's how I read it first, or mainly. But, I always like to see how things play out. I'm always learning, so we will see. But if it does go the other way, I could kind of see that too, but I first see that like OKC is like, okay, you guys have been off too, you've been waiting around. We're going to try to catch you sleeping sort of thing too, maybe. But, I don't know. I don't know. Well, I think, are the Wolves going to be wearing white? Or are they going to be wearing like blue? Is that what you mean, right? I still am not good on like the color stuff. The color method. Yeah, that's right. I was trying to think of what it. Yeah, you've been saying that before too, that works for you. Yeah, you've been using that and that works. I have not used that system. I just started reading, well, with NBA charts, I flipped the home and the away team, but see, there we go. Yeah, everybody's got astrologies. Yeah. I don't know how to do that. I guess I could, but I'm going to finish first and then I might come back to that. Okay. I just want to kind of like wrap up what I'm doing. Um, but so Mars and Pluto, yeah, back to the Timberwolves here. Their fifth house, again, with Oklahoma City there. I see that as them kind of getting overcome, that being the Timberwolves. And another thing for the Wolves that I don't necessarily care for is that the wounded healer, the asteroid Chiron, is in their fifth house of games, and that could be just something nagging. Like maybe they're caught sleeping. I hope, because I don't like to see injuries anywhere, but hopefully there's no injury going on either, or with the potential of happening. Chiron being in Aries, Aries rules the head injury or concussion or anything like that. But Chiron has been in Aries for a while. But for the Timberwolves, I'm like, could that like hinder their game in a way? Or maybe they kind of lose their head a little bit and they get a little too hot-headed, maybe swearing, maybe like flagrant technical foul, something like that. And then Neptune also finds itself in the Timberwolves' fifth house of their game. And Neptune is the co-ruler of Pisces. And Neptune is in good communication with Pluto, which is the co-ruler of the Wolves. So, I mean, that's supportive. I do think that there might be, some Timberwolves fans scattered amongst the crowd, maybe traveled with them. The Timberwolves have been, as far as like, because Neptune rules like things that can be glamorous and movies and TV. And the Timberwolves have kind of been a little bit of the talk here too, kind of, a little bit of Neptune vibe there, but it's supportive for the Timberwolves, but it's not like, oh my gosh, they're going to win because of that. And for the Timberwolves to continue their 10th house of how they show out to the public, their career, lands in the sign of Leo. Leo is ruled by the sun. And interesting too, that the Timberwolves' 10th house is at 28 degrees of Leo. And at 29 degrees of Leo is a fixed star known as Regulus. And that's like the royal star. That's like a very like famous star. Like if you have personal planets near it, you probably have a degree of fame in some capacity. Very memorable. I'm trying to think of somebody that is this on like their ascendant. I think I'm trying to think. I used to have a couple of people that I like had in mind that I could go to, but it's very, very powerful, basically. So for the Timberwolves, that is, a powerful thing. But on the flip side, that is the ruler of Oklahoma City's, their arena. So there's that. And Mars is close to it, but Mars and the sun, they're not doing anything. They're in a very loose sextile, which is positive, but it's not like super strong. Pluto, which is the co-ruler of the Timberwolves, is in a trine with the sun. So, coming into this game, like the Timberwolves aren't like the Timberwolves of a few years ago. They're more, on the same level playing field here as far as like the media is concerned. People have been talking about, and they've kind of like proved themselves to be up until this point anyway. Oh, okay. It's probably in the extended settings, maybe down here. Is it the house system? Oh, you know what? I probably have to go to, I'm not super good on AstroSeek. I would probably go to like Astro Dynaist for that, because then I know where to find like the traditional settings. But yeah, I mean, if you want to tell me how to pull it up, I can pull it up. Will be a lot of fouls called with the angles and the fixed signs. Yeah, that's a good point. And especially too with like Mercury right on the ascendant and descendant. Yeah, I just feel like there might be a lot of talking going on. So maybe some extra fouls because of, you know, some shit being said or whatever, but I just think it'll be very, very talkative. And yeah, with in regard to the fouls, the referees, Mercury, the communication of it all. Yeah. And then two, that would play out with, or would align with what Chris Finch was saying too, how OKC fouls a lot. So watch the Timberwolves just come out and foul a lot too. Um, oh yeah, yes, he does. Yeah. And I was just actually thinking about his chart, and I was going to pull it up. I haven't looked at it in a while, but that is a really good example. Because he is known as Air Jordan, and he's a sun in Aquarius, which is really funny. And he's known as Air Jordan. Aquarius is an air sign, which I always think is very fitting. And the number 23 too is also associated with Aquarius. That was his number. And yeah, just I have looked at his birth chart before, and yeah, I do remember that he had a lot of like, you know, stuff that's why it's cool to look at, you know, charts of like people that are in the public eye, because it's a really good example. But yeah, I mean, larger than life, and just the famous shot of him going through the air. I mean, yeah, huge. Okay, they're wearing white. What does the color method say about that? It would be white and blue, I think, right? With OKC wearing blue. And you know, to get to the prediction of it all too, when I first looked at this at 7:30, I had, you know, I did have Oklahoma City winning, and I am probably going to stick with that. But there are a couple of things that wouldn't surprise me if the Timberwolves A, keep it close, or B, win, or both. See? You know, so I could see that. But I am going to take Oklahoma City to win tonight. I'm going to take them to win. The points I didn't figure out yet. But, you know, I want to say like, and I'm still trying to figure out like what the trigger is for the point spread. He's an Aquarius, Pisces, cuspy. I don't remember his exact birthday. What is it, 19th? Is he February 19th? Is that his birthday? Something like that, 18th? But I was thinking about that because Caitlin Clark, I was thinking about how she's an Aquarius too, and she wears the number 22. She was born on January 22nd, and like she has the ability to be kind of like the, you know, the WNBA version Michael Jordan, but you know, be her own thing. I mean, she already is kind of there, and it's just kind of like this upward trajectory. I would be interested to look at her birth chart. I have not looked at her birth chart, and I don't know if it's available, but I was just thinking about those two similarities between the two of them, Michael Jordan and Caitlin Clark, in the astrology astrology way, because they're both Aquarians and stuff like that. But anyway, so back to the point spread. You know, I would say I'm gonna take OKC in winning by like obviously 1 point, you know, because Venus, them, is at 14 degrees of Aries. Mars, which is the Wolves, at 15 degrees. So it's like 1 degree difference from the exact trine. So the 1 point, you know, you obviously got to win by 1. You know, you got to win by minimum 1. And the moon being at 6 degrees of Pisces, the next aspect the moon is going to make is a sextile to Mercury. Mercury is on the ascendant of OKC, so kind of like a co-ruler. Mercury is at 19 degrees. That's about 13, or wait a minute. Yeah, 13 degrees apart, but almost to 7 degrees, so 12. Yeah, so Oklahoma City, anywhere from like 1 to 12 points. That's a pretty wide margin. I'd like to get it closer than that. Yeah, like 1 to 12. Maybe like, I was looking at something else earlier too. I'm trying to remember what it was. Maybe like 3 to 12 points. Because Pluto and the sun, and Pluto is the co-ruler of the wolves. The sun is the co-ruler of OKC. Yeah, so like 3 to 12 points. Something like that. Taurus represents white jersey kid. Okay, so what else does that mean? Like, what does that mean for the game tonight? Like, because I don't know anything about it. Let's see. So, what did I say? 3 points, I think. 3 to 12. Yeah. And as a Timberwolves fan, it pains me to say that. As an astrologer, I hope I'm right. Because I've been on the last 10 games, I'm 8-2. So I've been doing pretty good. I mean, there was one game I was just completely off the mark, but since I started the series, or doing the Timberwolves games, so it's been 2 series, yeah. 8-2, same as the Wolves. So I'd like to keep that streak going, but I'm not perfect by any means. I can totally be wrong and miss shit, But I'm always learning. I do always say that. But yeah, I'm going to take OKC to win tonight. But, if I were the Timberwolves astrologer, I would just be like, be that gnat, be the calm, cool, collected, team that you can be. Don't let your emotions get, overtake you. Keep up the, high speed as much as you can. They're a pretty young team, Oklahoma City. And two, the Thunder, they have a couple of players. It's one of the, what is it? Chet Holmgren and is it Williams? Jalen Williams? 2 players that were born in Minnesota and that went to, I think one of them was born in St. Paul. One of them was born in Minneapolis. And I think they played high school basketball together. So that's interesting too, that, they're playing the Minnesota team where they're from, for the opposing team. So yeah, there's always a Minnesota connection with something. Like, even though there's, Minnesota's playing in this game, but like with everything, it's weird. There's always a Minnesota connection. So, all right. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got, peeps. Yeah, I already went over all my nerd note stuff that I have written down thus far anyway. So yeah, I don't know. As a Timberwolves fan, I'd be okay being wrong because that would mean that the Wolves would win. But as an astrologer, so it could be a win-win for me. I'd rather get the prediction right. No, would I? No, I don't know. Honestly, at this point, it would be great to see the Wolves win. It's a tough one. So I'm just going to say it's a win-win for me. Either way. But yeah, man, it would be so nice for the Timberwolves to go in there and get the win. And yeah, if I was Oklahoma City's astrologer, I would tell them, use the fans and that extra support to your advantage, and just play the game that you're good at. Stick to what you know, stick to what you've been doing, and maybe a little extra chatter, but don't let it get too carried away. But maybe just kind of be like a gnat in their ear, Or like a gnat, you know, where you're not stinging, you're not really doing any harm, but you're there. Pure annoyance. So yeah, that's kind of what I would say. But I appreciate everybody hanging out and joining. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got. And game time. Ooh, it's 7:23. So it's very close. But yeah, and two, let me just add briefly before I depart. But if this game ends up starting before 7:36 Central Time, this chart is different. But I just got to go with this. But, you know, with the other chart too, I would still pick Oklahoma City to win because their fifth house ruler would be, which is their house of games, would be, instead of Venus, it would be Mercury. And Mercury is right on there, right on them. Like they're in the zone. Mercury is getting support from the moon. So I think the Timberwolves have a better chance now that it's starting a little bit later, kind of like I said at the beginning, but because they will have Saturn out of their fifth house, which can be very challenging. So anyhow, I appreciate everybody stopping by. Hope you have a good rest of your, I about said Monday. What day is it? It's Tuesday, right? Yeah, it's Tuesday. Oh yeah, long Minnesota goodbye. Because I always notice other things that I want to be talking about. But yeah, in typical fashion, the long Minnesota goodbye. I'm definitely guilty of that all the time. So go Wolves. Howell, go do your thing. I am picking OKC to win per the chart, what I saw. But if the Wolves win, I got that wrong. But as a Timberwolves fan, I will be happy. And game two, shoot. I always want to look that up ahead of time, and I always freaking forget. Game two, was that Thursday night? I think it's Thursday. But I do plan on doing game number 2 and 3. Okay, yeah, game 2 Thursday, game 3 Saturday. So that's the plan for now. So hopefully I'll see everybody then. But like I said, have a great rest of your evening and a great rest of your week kind of going on. Hang in there, do your thing. And we'll see how it pans out and hope to see you on the next one. Thanks for being here today. Appreciate all of you. So until the next time, peace out.